Welcome to Through the Word, leading you on a journey through the entire Bible, one chapter at a time. Today, Chris Langham leads us through the book of Ecclesiastes. Now to Pastor Chris.
Ecclesiastes chapter 5 today on Through the Word, which starts with a warning of verse 1. Guard your steps when you go to the house of God. Go near to listen rather than to offer the sacrifice of fools who do not know what they do wrong. Solomon has been examining the world under the sun to see what is worthwhile in life. And here in chapter 5, he shifts his focus for just a few verses to the house of God. And he warns us to approach God's house with careful steps. Go near, he says, to listen rather than to offer the sacrifice of fools who do not know what they do wrong. When you approach God, your first priority is to listen. Is that your number one when you step into church? Fools, he says, come to God to offer their sacrifice, which is a bunch of blabbering words and empty promises, and they don't even realize what they do wrong. In verse 2, he goes on, do not be quick with your mouth, do not be hasty in your heart to utter anything before God. God is in heaven and you are on earth, so let your words be few. Are you careful with your words to God? Do you listen first before speaking? Now keep in mind that Solomon was basically a backslidden believer at this point. There's no sign of intimacy with God as we see in David's Psalms. In Christ, you and I are invited by God himself to come boldly before the throne of grace. However, that is not an invitation to come to God with foolish and mindless songs. Have you truly considered the songs we sing in church? Lord, I give you my heart, I give you my soul. Then church is over. Okay, that's done. On to selfish living once again. Be careful. The sacrifice of fools is blabbering words and thoughtless promises. But the sacrifices that God accepts are a broken spirit and a contrite heart. Psalm 51 tells us these things God will not despise. Come boldly before God, offer him your broken heart, but don't make vows up and down. If your life is his, it is his. Just listen for his words and his instructions. Now in verse 8, Solomon goes back to his train of thought from chapter 4, where he was examining all the oppression and envy and generally self-centered work that people do in the world. In verse 8, he says not to be surprised when we see poverty and oppression, because everyone's a taker. In verse 10, he goes on, whoever loves money never has money enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with his income. This too is meaningless. As goods increase, so do those who consume them. And what benefit are they to the owner except to feast his eyes on them? The love of money, he says, never satisfies, never brings contentment, and only leads to evil. In verse 13, Solomon says, I have seen a grievous evil under the sun, wealth hoarded to the harm of its owner, or wealth lost to some misfortune. Did you know that most lottery winners confess that they lose many of their friendships to greed and envy, and many of the winners go on to bankruptcy? Did you know also that 79% of NFL players lose all of their money within 2 years of retiring? That's almost 4 out of 5. Pro basketball and baseball are only slightly better. There's got to be something better than this version of the American dream. God does have something better. In Philippians 4, Paul says he has learned the secret of contentment. Seriously, the secret of contentment. He says it works whether he's in lack or has plenty, poor or rich. If you could put that in a jar, it would sell for billions. Actually, I have it in a jar at home. I keep it in a jar of memory verses I use with the kids. The secret of contentment. I remember driving one day in my old beat-up 89 Toyota pickup. I looked over at the next lane and saw a gorgeous new Corvette. I looked at the guy and realized, what I have, he can't buy, and what he has, I don't even want. What is the secret? Well, I told you where it is, Philippians 4. If you don't want enough to look it up for yourself, I don't think you're going to learn it. I also encourage you to read Ecclesiastes 5 today and ask yourself, have you learned the secret of contentment in Christ?
Join us next time on Through the Word as we continue the journey, one chapter at a time. Start your own journey through the Bible with our web and mobile apps at throughtheword.org. Our apps are free and free to share, so tell your friends and take the journey together. Chris Langham is the founder of Through the Word Ministries in Diamond Head, Mississippi. You can find information and links for all of our teachers on the website. And remember, faith comes by hearing, and hearing through the Word.